Picture this. I was a year 9 student and I wanted to get into John Monash. I went into the interview after passing the exam and the interviewer was asking me 5 questions. Before I actually sat my interview, it was in the same room as everybody else. And I could hear and see what they were kind of doing. Albeit it was a bit of a headache in my head because we had just gone through a bunch of other activities and things and I was really stressed about that. But I did notice that none of the other people who went for the interview had their interviewer flip over the page that they were doing to take notes in. The interviewer called out my name and I went up and they started asking me questions. The same questions that I roughly heard from everyone else's experience. And they were questions that I somewhat prepared for. But my interviewer did something really strange which no one else had done. She flipped over the page and then she kept writing. And we were maybe on question 2 or 3. And then after about the 4th question, she stopped writing and just listened to what I was saying. And I was confused. I was stressed. Did I say something horribly wrong? Why is she no longer writing anything down? I didn't know what was happening. I did my best for the interview and I kind of walked out a little bit defeated, and I told my parents that my interview didn't really write down much, and they got really upset as well. They were threatening to complain to the school about how it was unfair treatment. If my interviewer didn't write down as much as the other people's interviewers, it was unfair. A couple of very anxious and stressful weeks go by, and my parents get an email. Heading: congratulations on your acceptance into JMSS. I tell you this story because it took me 4 years to understand exactly what the secret was to getting into JMSS. And once I became a tutor after I graduated, every single year I taught students to get into JMSS. I refined this process and I realized this one thing that year 9 me managed to stumble across, which all my other students that got in also hit. This one secret will take you from a student that just wants to get into JMSS into a student that deserves to be in JMSS. And I want to tell you that secret because it's easy to say, but it's difficult to apply. It's very difficult to apply. So without any further ado, let's get right into it. If I had to summarize this entire video in one sentence, it's the second question that they ask you when you do the interview. Why do you want to get into JMSS? It's such a simple question. It's so simple. Anyone can answer it. But the students that answer it well, the students that get accepted into the school, the students that make their interviewers stop writing because they were so good that there's no other reason to write down any more responses for their questions, are the ones that hit the nail on the head. They're the ones that have a real purpose and vision in trying to get into the school. So how can you build that purpose and vision? How can you understand exactly why you want to get into JMSS? The first thing I want you to do is grab a piece of paper and write down 3 things that you enjoy about school. Whether it's the subjects that you do, whether it's the people that you talk with, whether it's the extracurricular things or the teachers that you hang around with. I want you to just write down 3 unique things about your school that make you want to keep going. And if you can't think of any unique things that make you want to enjoy going to school, that, help you get out of bed in the morning and that you actually find enjoyable in school, then that's a different problem. Then you have to probably talk to someone else about that. But I just want you to write down 3 separate things that you enjoy about going to school. Have you done it? Okay. Now what I want you to do is think. Is this unique to my school? Do these things that I enjoy at my current school only occur here? Most likely the answer is no. There's probably some other school in the state, in Australia, in the world that has the exact same things that you've mentioned, whether it's hanging out with friends, whether it's playing in the oval with your mates, whether it's attending some extracurricular activities and workshops that your school runs, I can guarantee there's something very similar to other schools, if not the exact same. So why don't you go to a different school? What makes your school unique? Have a think about that. And there's no right or wrong answer. But the reason I ask you this question is because a lot of people don't realize that their general reasons for getting into JMSS, whether it's I like science or I want to hang out with like-minded people, they're all reasons that everyone else has in their school as well. It's not just unique to JMSS. So I want you to think, once you've done this activity, I want you to really think about what makes John Monash so unique. What's the thing that makes me want to really go there? Is it parental pressure that's forcing you to go in there? Is it the fact that it's a science specialized school and you really want to do a job in STEM in the future? Or is it the fact that you just want to find people to geek out with about science and that you really enjoy learning about science and being able to apply it in a different setting? Is it the fact that this school has a lot more resources than your current school, it has connections with Monash University, and you want to go into Monash University once you graduate? Have a think about all these things and really understand why JMSS is so appealing. Once you do this, once you go through this layer, once you dive deeper into your own psyche, there's this hidden drive within you that you have to apply and bring forward before you actually start properly preparing for the school. And once this drive becomes very apparent, you don't need any motivation anymore. You don't need to feel the urge or get pushed into doing homework for JMSS. It just happens. Once you realize this hidden agenda within yourself about why you want to attend John Monash, it makes it very, very easy to do the work. Now, going back to the story that I talked about at the very start, the interviewers stopped writing down things because they knew I was a student that deserved to be in John Monash. They knew that my passion for science wasn't just something that I manufactured over the course of 3 months to prepare for the school. They knew that I wasn't just doing it because my parents forced me to attend the school. They knew that I was a student that had a deep drive to learn. And the interviewer just stopped writing things down and he just listened. Because what they saw was someone who had a hurdle. They had a challenge. They had a giant mountain to climb. And it was overwhelming for them. And their love for learning, their love of science is what helped them surpass that thing. Even if they weren't good at science inherently, even if they sucked at it, they were able to grow passion and grow love into a subject. And they were able to succeed in it. Anyway, that was kind of a little story that I wanted to share. Hopefully you got something out of it. The main thing is to really understand why you want to get into John Monash and don't just have very basic answers into, oh, I'm passionate about science. How can you actually show me that you're passionate about science? What makes you different from all the other students that are trying to get in? If there's nothing that makes you unique, then you have to find something that does. That's really all I wanted to cover in today's video. It's very different from the tips and tricks and overviews and stuff, but I think it'll give you a little bit of value. I hope it gave you a little bit of value. That's really all I wanted to talk about today. That's it. That's the video. Don't like, don't comment, don't sub. Just log off and do something else now. See ya.